Today we are going to discuss about changing concepts in treatment of ST elevation MI with short review of evolution of interventional cardiology. Today's presentation will be a short review lecture only. It will not contain any statistical data charts. Just where we were in past and where we are now, that we are going to discuss. Acute coronary syndrome remains the leading cause of death worldwide, with majority of death affecting low and middle income countries. Nearly 25% death between age 25 to 70 years in India accounts due to acute coronary syndrome. Age standardized mortality ranges from 225 to 500 per 1 lakh in male and 225 to 400 per 1 lakh in women. The number of intervention cardiologists in India is estimated to be 3 to 5 million per population. In contrast to US, where there are 50 to 70 millions of cardiologists per million population, there is very much gap between the number of cardiologists which is required as per recommendation. The number of cardiac catheterization laboratories in India was estimated to be around 960 in 2016, and this number is increasing day by day. As compared to the disease burden, the facilities and infrastructure are adequate in India as compared to our population. Despite of all shortcomings, the number of percutaneous coronary intervention procedure is increasing steadily at annual growth of 6%.
3 to 5 per million है, वो भी 2016 का डेटा है या आज?
Yes, sir, 2017 का डेटा है.
2017 में बड़ौदा में सिर्फ 4 या 5 कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट थे, अभी 40 है. So there are 10 times increase in the number of cardiologists in Baroda. I am talking about Baroda 25 million का जो city है.
Yes. Yes.
2.5 million है.
2.5. According to sir.
22-24 તો કેટલે છે?
Yes. Looking into the history, in 1628, William Harvey was the first person to define the function of heart. When we go back into the history, the historical reports bring to our knowledge that evidence that human body and vascular system were entered by our ancestors long back 3000 years, but no evidence available. There is evidence-based cardiac catheterization was first performed by Claude Bernard in 1844. The subject was horse, and both right and left ventricles were entered by retrograde approach from jugular vein and carotid artery. And coming to the pioneer of intervention cardiology, the first catheterization of living human heart was performed by Dr. Werner Forssmann. He was a separate kind of inspiration that he catheterized his safe right heart through his cuboidal vein. No one was agreed with him at that time. He was suspended from his profession for 6 to 7 years, and later in 1956 he received Nobel Prize for that. Coming to the next, Dr. Mason Soames, he was the person carrying the first selective coronary angiography of RCA. It was accidental procedure. He was carrying aortography. During that, he pushed a 30 ml dye in right coronary artery, and he obtained the image of right coronary artery. And he, at that time, we were on the verge of obtaining the images of coronary system. Even he pushed the 30 ml dye, heart was beating finely. So next approach with proper cardiac catheters and procedures, we can catheter coronary arteries. Previously, all interventions are done in laborious arterial or venous cut down procedures until when Jean Sellinger's invented the technique percutaneous puncture of arteries. In 1967, Dr. Melvin Judkins designed a well-known Judkins catheter, and he opened a new way of selective angiography, cannulating right and left coronary arteries. And he is Andreas Grensin. It is the father of modern cardiology. He performed the first angioplasty in awake human patient. This is the picture of first world PTCA. 99% block in LED proximal LED stenosis, which is cleared up after the PTC. Geoffrey Hartler was the first person carrying out the first primary angioplasty in acute myocardial infarction in 1982. In 1994, FDA approved the first stent for Palmer-Schatz stent for angioplasties. Coming to the changing concept in intervention in cardiology, primary percutaneous intervention remains the cornerstone as preferred treatment option for ST elevation MI management. Indicated for the patient presenting in initial 12 to 24 hours with ideal door to volume time being 90 minutes. Opening of infarct-related arteries typically completed with drug-eluting stent implantation, angioplasty, and the preferred route for which remains the radial artery. Medication post-angioplasty are undergoing considerable change from dual antiplatelet to dual pathway, that is antiplatelet and anticoagulation inhibitors. ST elevation MI management in earlier days in 1950-1960, Fletcher and Westred pioneered the experimental use of streptokinase for thrombolysis. It was this streptokinase was studied in ISIS-2 trial, which represented a significant milestone in rapid treatment of AMI with streptokinase and aspirin. The trial was followed by GISSI study, which concluded the same. The other trials like Gusto trials are carried out by series introducing various tissue plasminogen activators. Thrombolysis versus coronary interventions. Thrombolytic agents were dominated in the management of ST elevation MI during 1980 and 1990s. Until when the new branch of new procedures of intervention in cardiology opened. However, they had their own limitations such as increasing bleeding risk, failed dialysis in considerable number of cases. Dynamic 2 and track 2 and meta-analysis by Killian et al. Made the primary percutaneous coronary intervention more widely acknowledged and preferred method of revascularization. Both short-term mortality, that is 7% and 7 versus 9%, and major adverse cardiac events, that is 82 versus 14%, are shown to be reduced by this trial after primary PCI. After that, primary PCI remains the cornerstone treatment for acute ischemic stroke, ST elevation MI. So that PCI as a class 1 and class 1 with level of evidence A indication for management of ST elevation MI presenting within 12 hours of duration. It is a class 1 and level C evidence for a patient with ST elevation MI presenting beyond 12 hours of duration, while it becomes class 3 and level of evidence B for ST elevation MI for patient presenting late after 24 to 48 hours. Coming to the other procedural medications, efficacy of aspirin was demonstrated by ISIS-2 trial. Aspirin resulted in significant reduction of vascular mortality. After aspirin, there comes the second drug, clopidogrel. It is a thienopyridine prodrug evolved from initial trials such as PCI Cure and PCI Clarity. After clopidogrel, there was a newer molecule, prasugrel. It is a third generation thiopyridine. It achieved faster and more potent platelet inhibition as compared to clopidogrel. Maximum plasma concentration of prasugrel is achieved in 30 minutes in healthy volunteers. So it became the antiplatelet of choice. And at present, there a new drug, ticagrelor. It is a new class called cyclopentyl triazopyrimidine. It is a more potent and consistent in platelet inhibition. At present, we follow the Plato trial. It became the drug of choice for the loading dose along with aspirin in acute myocardial infarction cases. Coming to the long-term antiplatelet therapy, duration of dual antiplatelet therapy post-angioplasty patient. DAPT remains the preferred treatment after the 12 hours post-angioplasty, irrespective of the stent types. In some patient with high ischemic risk with low bleeding risk, DAPT may be extended beyond 12 months, that is up to 18 months to 24 months. More recently, short and ultra-short DAPT also has been recommended in the patient with reading risk calculation as per DAPT and precise DAPT scores. That in short, we can taper dual antiplatelets up to 3 months or 1 month. Coming to other newer antiplatelets inhibitors, glycoprotein 2B3 inhibitors. This provide rapid and potent platelet inhibition. These are not required regularly in each and every patient. This can be used as bailout in the event of angiographic evidence of massive thrombus or slow flow or no reflow vessels or other thrombotic complications. Along with this antiplatelet therapies, antithrombotic therapy with heparin remains the standard in primary PCI to avoid the other thrombosis. In cases with heparin allergy or heparin-induced thrombocytopenia, bivalirudin remains the drug of choice. This is the new concept for acute anterior volume acute ST elevation MI, dual pathway inhibition. There are newer anticoagulants also gaining popularity in treatment of post PCI. The last lecture presented by Vikram sir, he discussed the COMPASS trial with that is single antiplatelet with Novak, that is aspirin plus rivaroxaban reduced major adverse cardiac event rate significantly in 4.1 versus 3.4. But it is not in guidelines at present, but we require more data to confirm this. But patient with other hypercoagulable states or atrial thrombus like atrial fibrillation with ST-MI, triple therapy with short period of 4 weeks followed by single antiplatelet therapy with Novak for 12 months also been shown beneficial in Augustus trials. Coming to the coronary intervention and angioplasty exercise. First coronary intervention was originally described by Dr. Vermer Frossman in 1929 through brachial approach. So that Dr. Mason-Sones also performed his first cardiac catheterization via brachial route. In early days and coronary intervention, femoral access was the preferred option. However, with the advances of better hardware, now radial artery replaced the femoral artery as preferred access site, that is ST elevation EMI. There are different trials like ST-MI radial and rifle ST-CS trials, which shown the radial route is the route of choice in primary coronary interventions. Coming to deferred versus immediate PCI. Deferred stenting, that is initial opening of occluded vessel with balloon followed by stenting after 24 to 72 hours. This does not reduce any occurrence of no reflow, slow reflow day MI as with repeat revascularization as compared to immediate stenting in meta-analysis. So majority of ST elevation MI being treated with immediate stenting. There is no role of deferred PTCS. Coming to the single versus multivessel percutaneous coronary interventions. There are 4 major randomized controlled trials, COMPLETE, CULPRIT, DANISH and Dynamic 3 trials have been shown the benefit of complete revascularization, that is opening of all affected arteries instead of single affected arteries in the patient with ST elevation MI and multivessel. But catch is here is we have to open the other affected arteries after the patient is stabilizing. In acute event, we have to only touch the artery which is affected. After that, in serious stage procedures, we have to open the other arteries. Coming to facilitated PCI, use of pharmacological treatment, that is thrombolysis with streptokinase or other TPAs. As soon as possible after the onset of ST elevation MI, attempt to establish the early reperfusion followed by transport to the intervention laboratory for emergent mechanical perfusion. This facilitated PCI can be used in the patient with where there is a cath lab or tertiary cardiac center are not available. First patient undergoes thrombolysis and later on patient can be taken for primary coronary intervention. Early studies of facilitated PCI shows improvement of coronary blood flow during angiogram However, in earlier studies, they failed to show any improvement in clinical outcome and and also have a major hemorrhagic complication. But with subsequent larger clinical trials such as ASCENT-4 and findings evaluated the tenic triplase and half-dose retiplase apiximab respectively, which are useful before undergoing facilitated PCI. In the late presenters, the patient who was still in early course of
Previous slide,
Yes.
where it comes to thrombolysis, which is the preferred agent is
at present, sir, human tissue plasminogen activators.
tenic triplase.
Yes.
No more streptoline, no more urokinase.
Sir, coming to the cardiac.
Because we are, you know,
Sir, when early studies of facilitated PCI were done with streptokinase only, sir. They don't show any major outcomes after. But when they evaluated for tenic triplase or half-dose retiplase, the final outcome was positive in facilitated PCI.
the preferred agent is
Tenic triplase or retiplase at present. But due to financial constraints, we use streptokinase.
the patient can afford angioplasty, they can afford tenic.
Yes, sir. This is for facilitated PCI, sir. If angioplasty, we have to do angioplasty. Coming to the late present, the patient who was still in early course of ST elevation MI within 12 to 48 hours should undergo PCI. There is no doubt. But problem comes the patient present after 48 hours. Ideally, according to protocol, they should undergo myocardial viability studies like cardiac MRI, positron emission, tomography, PET scan, or single PET scan. But considering the cost, UV is
We don't consider cost, suppose we do.
I-
What is the advantage of doing this and not doing intervention? After suppose viability study, everything has been done.
so then
After 48 hours.
if myocardial is viable, sir, if there is no evidence of silent ischemia or viability, the myocardial is viable, we have to intervene the patients.
What percentage of advantage patient get compared to 24 to 48 hours PCI?
Yes. Exact percentage, I don't know. But ideally, if myocardial is viable, then we have to do percutaneous pulmonary interventions.
So within that time period, presentation in 48 to 72 hours,
Yes.
your viable study will be able to tell you what is necrosis, what is hibernating, what is shunt.
The thallium scan can tell, sir. Yes.
Not others.
Other studies like dopamine stress test, but at that time it's not indicated. Ideally, SPECT scan and PET scan are indicated after 48 hours. Coming to the stents used in PCIs, the current generation stents, drug-eluting stents are based on thinner metallic struts with improved drug carrier that is called polymer, which releases drug with improved anti-proliferative agents. Early generation stent platform were made up of stainless steel with strut thickness of 130 to 150 micrometer. Various studies indicated the advantage of thinner stents. Thinner struts tend to have less vessel cross-sectional area loss, hence less instant thrombosis. Newer drug-eluting stents have backbone made of novelic metal alloys such as cobalt chromium and platinum chromium. Their strut thickness is reduced to 90 micrometer even though their radius stent is maintained. Coming to the stent, this first image is bare metal stent which was used earlier. And there is development of stent, that is drug-eluting stent with durable polymer. After that, drug-eluting stent with biodegradable polymer. And the recent studies are carrying on the bioabsorbable scaffolds. That is for, in 2003 the first drug-eluting stent were introduced, which contained the paclitaxel and sirolimus as the drug with polymers. In 2008, the second drug-eluting stent where stents were introduced with zotarlimus and everolimus as the drugs. Coming to the advancement of the drug-eluting stents, we can see in first generation there is a polymer. The strut were made of the stainless steel. After that, they were made of cobalt alloy. At present, we use the third generation stents, which use platinum chromium alloy with in fourth generation, which are in the pipeline of development, they are synergy stent used with bioreabsorbable scaffolds. Coming to the summary of all, sir.
Almost this bioreactable
Scaffolds.
are there in market, I think more than 4 to 5 years.
Sir,
What
but
is the status?
the result is not better than third generation. That's why they are not routinely used.
New trial is coming up, which is ongoing trial, and they are showing that the data are good for next generation stent. They have modified the design of this bioabsorbable stent. Now they are coming with another stent.
What is the exact meaning of this bioabsorbable stent?
The polymer gets dissolved after some time.
Okay.
So metal will not be there. It is a normal antibiotic.
The patency will remain that way. Patency of IPA.
Initially when it was introduced, there was high rate of thrombosis again on that side. So they were withdrawn from the market. Right now they are coming with another modified design stent, but trial is ongoing. The results have not yet come.
હવે પાછું ત્યાં બ્લોક થાય તો તમે સ્ટેન્ટ ઇન થ્રોમ્બોસિસ ના કરી શકો. થ્રોમ્બોસિસ સ્ટેન્ટ ના કરી શકો.
એ નવું ટેકનોલોજીમાં 3D મેપિંગ ટેકનોલોજી આ છે.
આમાં નહીં stent માં.
3D મેપિંગ તો થાય ઇલેક્ટ્રોફિઝિયોલોજી.
આની અંદર
આની અંદર
યસ
OCT છે સર.
3D મેપિંગ એવું કંઈક સાંભળ્યું છે નથી ખબર પણ 3D મેપિંગ પહેલા કરે છે પછી સ્ટેટ
OCD iOS ને FFI.
હા, OCT છે સર. એમાં 3D મતલબ તમે જોઈ શકો છો 3D એનો ડાયમેન્શન પ્લેક મોડિફિકેશન કરવા પડે.
આમાં કે પેલા વાલની અંદર રિપ્લેસમેન્ટમાં એવું આવ્યું છે ખરું કંઈક 3D માં
હા, વાલમાં છે.
વાલમાં ખરું
Coming to the summary of procedure, treatment option in ST elevation MI, in earlier days in 1950-1960, strict bed rest was the only treatment for MI patients. Later on, 1960-70, first ICC cardiac care unit was established and patient treated under that. 1980 was the pioneering, recommended in 1980 to 1995, renolysis was the main treatment, and after introduction of angioplasty, after 1990, primary PCI was the treatment. And currently in 2000 to 2005, we also opening the vessels having flow beyond TB3. Coming to the complication during pulmonary interventions and managing the complication. Banker sir in last cardcom said that when service was working at Baroda, even small perforation of coronary vessel, everyone was panicking. But current situation, our main cardiologist goes, don't even bother our CVTS surgeon in Baroda or not. He opens LM, TBD or severe calcified vein vessels very easily, so we can manage every complication in cath lab itself. Come to the effect of price capping, sir. This slide can be answered to such questions that so much cardiologist increase in Baroda. The average retail price of bare metal stent used to be 45,000 and the drug-eluting stents used to be 1.5 lakhs in earlier at that time, sir. And patient were not affording. Nobody seriously challenged this practice until a lawyer from Delhi took this issue to the judiciary system. The case forced the authorities to list stent in national list of essential medicines in 2016. Later, that year the stent were included in the first schedule of drug prices and control order, around 1,20,000. Finally, in February 2017, the price of stent was capped to 7,260 for bare metal stent and 29,600 for drug-eluting stent at 2017. Price of stent at present are in that range only, sir. Price capping policy has benefited local manufacturers stent, they are mainly Indian companies, which have substantial share in Indian stent markets. Their stent have been proved non-inferiority as compared to stent in multinational companies. This was the photo from article in 2017 where the, very much price capping of DES and bare metal stents were observed. With that, we also conducted the various randomized controlled trial which compared the Indian drug-eluting stents with international best-selling stents like Abbott, Vascular, and USA. The study was sufficient power to drive the final outcome regarding non-inferiority of our Indian Supraflex sirolimus drug-eluting stents versus the best in the class Zen stent from Abbott. But our stent was not inferior, sir. So, fine. And more of a kind, there is Ayushman Bharat scheme which promoting universal health coverage to 500 million people. Under this scheme, needy patients are getting angioplasty treatment free of cost. Achievement of balloon to door time has drastically improved under this scheme. This is actually great step by Indian government and such huge population with high prevalence of cardiovascular disease. After that, most of the cases are managed by performance coronary intervention.
You go to previous slides of mortality.
આગેલા નથી ને
हाँ, નથી.
As we go to previous slides of mortality benefit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, the mortality benefit. Yeah, this one.
Yes, sir.
See, point is this, when it comes to 25% death,
Yes, sir.
if you see these patients were not converted into congestive heart failure or the ventricular failure.
Yes, sir.
If you put the figure of, converting mortality into morbidity,
Yes.
that will stand 25% here.
Achha, sir.
Because we are giving mortality benefit, but morbidity persists in the form of congestive heart failure or recurrent left ventricular failure or whatever is meant. Then if that figure, your mortality benefit is that figure will be 25%. Morbidity.
Yes.
But we are not talking about the morbidity. That's why the sigmas like drugs comes.